Brain box.
You want that cut as thick as possible? Can do. To start, I work in a grocery store deli. Normally it isn't busy and most of the customers are friendly, but there's always that one old lady who has a vendetta with anyone behind the counter. Unfortunately, I just so happen to be the only person behind the counter. Me is me, K is Karen. Me, good evening ma'am. Is there anything I can help you find, Todd? Before I can even finish, she cuts me off. A personal pet peeve and immediate red flag. K, give me a half pound of yellow American cheese, she demanded. And cut it as thick as you can get it. Give me as red flag #2. That's when the gears in my head start turning, and I think of that juicy malicious compliance. As thick as I can. Okay. We have a dedicated cheese slicer, and it can cut chunks up to 1.5 inches thick. So without even speaking, I retrieve the cheese, turn the dial to as high as it'll go, and then back some cause the slicer turns itself off from the strain if you cut it too thick, and slice off that gold brick before placing it on the scale. By this point the brick weighs about 4/5 of a pound and K is absolutely flabbergasted. With that all too familiar customer service smile, I print the label, place it in the bag, and say, is there anything else I can get for you today? K, no. She takes the bag and leaves in a huff. About 10 minutes later, after she assumedly went to harass the meat department and whoever else before going to the customer service center, D, who is the store manager, head honcho and total bro, came back to the deli and asked what happened. Apparently she complained about me. D, hey John the fish, a woman just came up front and complained about some cheese you cut for her. Me, she said she wanted it cut as thick as I could get it. Me and D shared a laugh for a few seconds and just told me not to do it again. Teacher won't let me go to my teacher. Okay. So a little background. I live in Romania. Here we have a school week, which is a little different. Point, instead of having lessons we watch movies, play around, etc. Point, also here in Romania we have teachers who take care of us. We also had a class laptop. T equals my teacher, OTN equals OTHER teacher and me. So on the first day of this other week, all of our school goes in a big room and we start watching a movie. Point, I tell T that I'm going in my classroom because I didn't really like the movie. She said yes. In my classroom I watched The Purge on class laptop. Point, about half an hour later, a teacher came in and started screaming at me to come and watch the movie. So I did. Point, when I arrived in the room my friend told me that T wanted to speak to me. Point, so I started going to the door, but Ot stopped me. Where are you going? I told her to T, Ot, sit down right now. I wanted to tell her why, but I thought, hey, this would make a decent malicious compliance start, so I said okay with the biggest smile on my face and watched the movie. Point, this happened today, so I didn't get to see my teacher, but I'll keep you guys updated. Complying to German worker protection law. In Germany we have great worker protection. I'm glad for that, but sometimes those strict rules have some unpleasant side effects. One time a coworker was exceeding the maximum daily work time because he was on a trip and wanted to go home. He was honest about it, and the result was a disciplinary meeting with the works council. He was told even if he is 15 minutes from home he has to get a hotel room before the maximum working time runs out. Some month later he was in a similar situation. He was about 30 minutes from home and had 10 minutes of legal work time left. So he went to the nearest hotel, which wasn't cheap, and got a room. He called his wife, who was already cooking for them, and she was understandably upset. Sitting on the bed he realized something. Worker protection law is only about the time you are on clock. He was off the clock now, so nothing is stopping him from visiting a friend, for example, or his wife, and eat there and sleep there. So that's what he did. Entitled Military at Movie Theater, originally posted at r/choosingbeggars, but I was told it might also be enjoyed here. This is actually my brother's story. We were out eating with my father, a veteran himself who was in full uniform, having just left the send-off ceremony for his third tour of duty, this one in Poland. We were discussing military discounts, and my father, who is in the National Guard, was talking about how often he'd come to a restaurant from drill, ask for a military discount, and have people ask him if he was in the military despite being in his fatigues still. He'd understand if they said they needed to see his ideas policy, but found that funny. My brother, who used to work at a local movie theater, brought up that while he worked the ticket counter, a lot of people would come in and ask for a military discount. This particular theater didn't have one, but my brother would usually slyly charge them the price for a child's ticket instead of an adult ticket as a way of giving them one. He said very often, when he did this, people would complain and act insulted, either because they were being called a child for their service, or because it wasn't a proper military discount. He'd remove child's ticket, charge them full price for an adult ticket, and let them pay for it or leave. He never said if he stopped doing this after a while. I don't believe he did, possibly because our father's service still gives us a lot of respect for those in the military, regardless of their behavior. Bull too fast? Okay, I'll slow down. Please excuse formatting issues, I'm typing with my nose. The mechanical bull at my work is manually operated, with different settings. Normally I set it to something reasonable, like if it's a fat kid I'll make it go slow. If it's a 6-year-old who scrambles on and starts showboating I'll set it faster, etc. Generally I'll ask how fast a guest wants it, but it's also important to note that it's not easy if it's your first time, so if you ask for medium I'll set it there, but it's nonetheless a fairly brisk pace. On to the story. One guest, probably around 8 or 10, asked to go slow, and I set it to the higher end of the beginner settings. She fell off almost immediately, and I did my usual spiel of asking if she wants to try again, so as not to wait in line again. Her time was like 3 seconds, but slower, and she screamed and ran to her mom. Okay, I think that's that. That, it would turn out, was not that. The guest's mom comes stomping up and asking what the hell I did. Explanation ensued, as did apologies. Evidently errors were assigned. I agreed to let the guest go again, this time with the shouted stipulation, slow. So slow I went. So sluggishly, and sadly slow did the bull go. It cuts off automatically in 30 seconds, and by that time it had barely made a full rotation, when on any other setting it would be moving quite briskly, one rotation in half a second or less. The entire time the guest was stone-faced, and merely glared at me as she got off the inflatable. The guest's mother complained to management, who found no issues. TLDR guest wants the bull to go slow, so I make it so. You can't buy this if I can't complete my delivery. Mobile. For background, my sister worked at a local neighborhood market and they started selling banana bread, which they decided she would bake at home. When she went to college she passed the job to me. Damn, it pays well for a high schooler. Got to get those jewel pods, am I right, fellow teens? So I just got to the store and I was going to make my delivery when some lady says you can't seriously be buying something from a child. Actually it's because I don't have a license to sell them, lady, and they don't get taxed. Eyes, please don't audit me. They give me the hint to wait until she's gone AMD. When she walks up to the counter she asks for banana bread. When I'm walking out the door I hear them say, sorry ma'am, we're out. We should be getting a delivery soon. I could feel the grin coming from the employee. So I say smugly, well, isn't that a shame? At this point she realizes her mistake and tells me I can do my delivery now. I look her right in the eyes and say, you can't honestly expect this store to buy something from a child. How unprofessional do you think they are? She buys her sandwich and storms out. I walk away with my $40 for that half of the week and she doesn't get her 10-year-old's bread. Want to cut my shift to save money? This happened the other day and sort of goes here. TL, doctor at the bottom. Background. So I work at a large pizza chain as a delivery driver, and our franchise manager is known to be a bit tight when it comes to saving money. As the Easter break is this weekend, every day is a designated public holiday and employees receive double pay across the entire weekend. The store manager had originally had me rostered on for the Saturday and Sunday nights during evening rush, along with 2 other drivers, as it was expected to be extremely busy due to the Easter break and a large sports event nearby. To save money on costs, as I was the most expensive driver to employ based on my age and experience, the FM has cut my shift entirely, leaving me with just 2 shifts for the week, barely enough to cover my expenses. After discussing it with my SM and there being no way he can get me back on the roster unless someone calls in sick, I figured it would be a good idea to take some annual leave I've had saved up over the last year on that day, which the SM agreed, as it will end up costing the FM more to not employ me and have customers angry at long delivery times than if he had not cut my shift. TL. Doctor manager cuts my shift to save costs and leaves the store understaffed, so I take out leave and cost him more than if I had worked. Don't like my food? Here, have the hottest hot sauce in the world. My girlfriend has an asshole of a father. Her mother is wonderful, but her dad is a screwball. She knows how I feel and is thankfully very understanding and keeps him and my interactions to a minimum. However, last week I moved into my first apartment in Seattle and my girlfriend brought her parents over for dinner. When I served plates of salmon and potatoes that I was very proud of, her father proclaimed after barely taking a bite that it was tasteless and embarrassing. He then demanded some hot sauce. I happen to be sort of an odd collector and like to keep the extremes of different things. I have Black Insomnia coffee, the world's strongest coffee, Spiritus Rectificani, 96% alcohol, and most importantly Mad Dog 357, which is the strongest hot sauce you can buy. The Scoville scale rates food spiciness, and for reference the Carolina Reaper is 1.56 million shu. The Mad Dog is 9 million shu. So here is the preceding conversation. Me, sorry, the only one I have is way too hot. Dickhead, I'm not like you, I can handle it. Bring it here. Me, no, I mean it's actually. Dickhead, just bring me the fucking sauce so I can stomach this food. Me, asterisk MALICIOUS compliance ACTIVATED asterisk sure. I'll get it for you. Dickhead then douses one of his potatoes in it and smugly takes a bite. The kick hits him almost immediately, and without saying anything he gets up to go into the fridge. It is very clear he is in pain, but is trying to hide it. GF. Asterisk SHE understood what was going on asterisk are you alright dad? He was obviously looking for milk in the fridge, and here is the kicker. I'm lactose intolerant. There is no milk in my apartment. Without saying anything he collected his belongings and left. GF and I had a good laugh explaining what had happened to her mom, and we enjoyed the good food I made in peace.